Working out during your fasted period has so many advantages. There's so many different things that go on inside your body during a fast. It just makes sense to work out during that period of time. And I'm not just talking about working out in a fasted state in the morning. I'm talking about even if you're intermittent fasting. Work out during your fasted window, even if it's towards the end of your workout. I'm going to explain exactly why. And this is going to help you get a stronger comprehension of what you're really after with your intermittent fasting protocol or just your fasted workouts in general. Hey, but first, we have new videos just about every single day nowadays. So I want to make sure you don't miss out and hit that red subscribe button, but then also hit that little bell icon so you can turn on notifications, know whenever I go live or post a new video. Also, I want to make sure you check out ButcherBox. If you eat meat, if you eat beef, if you eat chicken, anything like that, you have to check out ButcherBox. Literally grass-fed, grass-finished meat, high quality stuff for significantly less cost than what you pay at the grocery store. So it's a no-brainer. So meat delivered right to your doorstep, plus there's a special price for anyone that watches my videos. So that link is down below in the description, high quality stuff, and it'll all make sense even more when you watch this video. So check them out after we go through the details. All right, here we go. Number one reason why you should be working out in your fasted state is something that you all want, and that is more fat loss. Plain and simple, when you are fasted, you will burn more fat. It all has to do with what is called your intramyocellular triglyceride content. What that means is you have fat that is stored inside your muscle tissue, not just adipose tissue, but in your muscles, like actually in there, weaved in with your fibers. Okay, it helps with lubrication, it helps with energy supply, all this stuff. Now, there was a study that was published in the Journal of Physiology. Okay, it took a look at individuals and it had them work out at 75% of their VO2 max. Okay, so a pretty decent workout. Divided into two groups. One was an overnight fasted group. That's it, just overnight. And the other group was fed. Okay, they ate before their workout. And what they found was that there was 3 times as much, or 3 times more, excuse me, I had a little scratch there, 3 times more intramyocellular triglyceride utilization with the fasted group. So they burned 3 times as much of the fat that is inside the muscle tissue. What does that mean? The fat that's in the muscle tissue will first get burned up, and then your body will pull from other stores and put it into the muscle tissue to get used again. So it's a cycle, adipose tissue to muscle to getting burned. So now we're getting burned and utilized 3 times the rate simply because we're fasted. But here's what's really cool. Glycogen resynthesis was 3 times more. What that means is after the workout, people, when they ate, ended up utilizing 3 times more in the way of the nutrients to restore glycogen. So if you ate before your workout, your post-workout meal was less effective. Okay? Whereas if you fasted before your workout, your post-workout meal was ultimately 3 times more effective. That's powerful. Now, scientists believe that it's hormone-sensitive lipase related. What that means is basically the epicenter for all fat loss and lipolysis and fatty acid metabolism, hormone-sensitive lipase, that epicenter gets activated when you're fasted. And when you're working out, it gets activated even more. So it's a double whammy effect. Okay, so the number 2 reason you're gonna wanna be working out in a fasted state during your fast is you build more muscle. Okay, it doesn't matter if you're a man or woman and wanna build 100 pounds of muscle or 5 pounds of muscle, you will build more. Now, it all has to do with something known as P70S6K. Okay, so we'll talk about it, but the European Journal of Applied Physiology published a study that broke it down really well. They took a look at 2 workouts, fasted and fed once again, and they found that the fasted workout had a big increase in P70S6K phosphorylation. I'll explain what that means in a second. Basically, they found that because this genetic trigger was activated more, it made it so that the post-workout meals were much more effective. So basically, it increased this P70S6K post-workout after the post-workout meal. So they found that P70S6K helps with nutrient utilization, helps us take in the nutrients, right? So what ends up happening is if P70S6K isn't that elevated, our cells don't absorb as much of what we eat post-workout. But if P70S6K is elevated, we get more out of the protein utilization, which means we get more protein synthesis. So we're talking 2 times as much P70S6K, which leads to 2 times as much protein synthesis after a workout. That's huge. So the fasting group ended up having twice as much protein synthesis. You have to be working out in a fasted state if you want your post-workout meal to really get you double the benefit. So it's almost like if you're going to eat before your workout, I may kick myself for saying this later, but you're almost better to not work out. I mean, you're not getting much. I mean, you're getting a caloric burn and you're setting the pace for yourself. So maybe that's not true, but the reality is you get a heck of a lot more. So it almost makes a fed workout seem useless. Number 3, you get to take advantage of less fat cell sensitivity. What does that mean? Well, there was a study that was published in BMC Genomics a while ago that found that you're less likely to store fat in the morning. So what that means is that in the morning, your muscle cells are very insulin sensitive, meaning your muscle cells will absorb all kinds of cool things, proteins, carbs, what you want, right? Whereas in the evening, your fat cells soak up a lot more. So in the morning, your muscle cells commandeer most of the absorption. Your fat cells actually don't take up a whole lot. So it's a lot harder to build or gain fat in the morning than it is in the evening. So if you're in a fasted state and you work out, then you are more than likely going to be having that muscle sensitivity, which means when you do eat your post-workout meal, you have less likelihood of a little bit of fat going to storage. Let me make some more sense of this. After a workout, if you get a small amount of omega-3s, like again, let's say you're eating good quality grass-fed, grass-finished meat that's high omega-3. Okay, if you eat that post-workout, the small amounts of omega-3 that's in that meat actually triggers an exponential amount of protein synthesis. Omega-3s trigger muscle growth and protein synthesis quite dramatically. Normally, you wouldn't be able to get a whole lot of that in because fats tend to store when you're insulin sensitive. So normally, if you were not in a fasted state, your post-workout meal would have to be exceptionally lean because the fat would very likely get stored. If you are fasted, you have more flexibility after your workout. It means that therefore you can utilize this omega-3 trick. You can have a little bit of fat with your nice grass-fed burger, okay? You can. This increases protein synthesis multiple times through, therefore lets you build muscle, but also keeps you lean in a process that normally would cause you to not be lean. Okay, now we talk about autophagy. Okay, autophagy is big with fasting. It's a buzzword and quite frankly, it's overused. Autophagy is a powerful thing. It is our cellular recycling where worn out parts of a cell essentially get recycled in a survival of the fittest sort of mechanism. So it's really cool stuff and it's a big benefit of especially a longer term fast. Now, the journal Autophagy found that exercise induces autophagy within the peripheral regions of the body. So we're talking peripheral cells like skeletal muscle, in liver, things like that. So exercise actually induces it, predominantly cardio. Do your cardio in a fasted state, okay? Doing cardio in a fed state is like, I can't even find a comparison. It's just not worth it. Like you get a caloric burn, that's it, but you're not getting a whole lot of metabolic benefit. Okay, so exercise induces autophagy, but it does so by decreasing coenzyme A. Coenzyme A ends up making it so that you metabolize nutrients. When you're fasting, you don't want nutrient metabolism. You want your cells to be forced to go into autophagy. So if decreases in coenzyme A get you there, then great, your body's gonna recycle cells versus trying to find nutrients. Also have a decrease in mammalian target of rapamycin. That is the anabolic hormone. Okay, that turns us into storage mode. That decrease in mTOR turns on autophagy. mTOR is the opposite of autophagy. So if we decrease mTOR, we increase autophagy. Then we increase AMP kinase. So AMP protein kinase. What this is it's like the regulator that determines if you have fuel or not. So if we have an increase in AMPK, the body says, oh wait, there's no fuel, so we have to start storing or utilizing fat rather. So it's a very good thing as far as fat loss goes, but as far as autophagy goes. And lastly, if you're trying to get a mental benefit from your workout long term, not just for the day, then you need to be doing a more intense workout in a highly fasted state. It is like, trust me, you won't ever turn back. Like the cognitive ability that you gain from it is so cool. So HIIT already improves BDNF. Okay, it does so by elevating a lot of lactate. I'll explain that in a second. But if you do that in a fasted state, that's exacerbated even more. So the Journal of Medicine and Science and Sport published a study. They found that VO2 max increases were not correlated with an increase in brain-derived neurotrophic factor, but lactate levels were. What that tells us is that it wasn't about the intensity of the workout, it was about the ability to cope with the stress of the intensity. So the longer people were able to push it through an intense mode, they had more brain development, significantly more brain development. We're talking 13 to 30% more. Huge. And it all has to do with the lactate levels. If you are in a fasted state, you are going to have to put up with more stress. It is all about adaptation, ladies and gentlemen. If you deal with the stress, your body gets stronger, plain and simple. So the ability to deal with the stress will end up giving you more brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which leads to neuroplasticity, new neural connections, new pathways, making you sharper, smarter, calmer, cooler, collected, but more autophagy, less fat sensitivity, more muscle building, and once again, more fat loss. So as always, thank you for watching, and make sure you're keeping it locked in here on my channel. Don't forget to hit that subscribe